Your 3.3 part 1 lesson goes over dividing polynomials. With this part, you will be using long division and synthetic division. Today we're just going to focus on long division, get through that, and then we'll do the second day on the synthetic division. But again, today we're just going to work with long division. When you divide polynomials using long division, you're going to use the same kind of division that you would when you work with regular numbers and long division. The only difference with your polynomial division is that you have to make sure every single power from the highest power to the lowest power is represented in every part. So if you look at this first part, this f of x is equal to 6x cubed minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4. What I mean by every power from highest to lowest is, number one, make sure that's in standard form. Then go from the highest power. Your highest power is 3. So check to see that you have the second power, which you do. The first power, you do because of that x. And then the power of 0, which you do, which that's your constant. So with that, you wouldn't have to add in anything. If you are missing a power, you would plug in that x to that power with a 0 in front of it to represent that power that's missing. We're going to do some of those today so that way you see what I'm talking about. But if we look at the first part, the first example, we are dividing 6x cubed minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4 by x minus 2. So that x minus 2 is what's going to go on the outside. Your 6x cubed minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4 is going to go on the inside. We said that all powers are represented, so it's not like we have to add anything in. So like I said, we're just going to put the x minus 2 on the outside. 6x cubed minus 19x squared plus 16x minus 4 goes on the inside. From this, you are going to start with the first term on the outside with the first term underneath. Ask yourself, x from the outside times what is going to give me 6x cubed on the inside? If we multiply it by 6x squared, that gives us the 6x cubed. So we're going to put that 6x squared up top. We are then going to multiply that 6x squared by both the x and the negative 2 on the outside, and it's going to go underneath the first two terms under. So 6x squared times x is 6x cubed. 6x squared times negative 2 is negative 12x squared. Now this is the most difficult part from this. From here, like normal division, long division, you subtract. However, when you subtract polynomials, you have to distribute that negative in. So distribute that negative in by adding the opposites. So you're literally just changing the sign on everything. So again, everything changes the sign because you're distributing that negative in. From here, your first terms should cancel out. 6x cubed minus 6x cubed, they're opposites, they cancel. Now do the negative 19x squared plus 12x squared. That gives us negative 7x squared. You only have one term now that you're working with, but you have two terms on the outside. So you have to bring down your next term, which is that positive 16x. Now you can start over again by asking yourself, x times what is negative 7x squared? That's going to give you negative 7x. So we'll put that negative 7x up top and multiply it by both the x and the negative 2 on the outside. Negative 7x times x is negative 7x squared. Negative 7x times negative 2 is positive 14x. From here, again, we are going to subtract, distribute that negative in, which just means change the sign on everything and add the opposites. The negative 7x squared plus 7x squared, they cancel each other out because they're opposites. The 16x minus 14x gives us 2x. Once again, you have one term left. On the outside, you have two terms. So you want to drop down that negative 4 and work with that. So start all over again from what we did in the beginning. Your x on the outside times what is 2x? That's positive 2. So that 2 goes up top. We multiply that 2 by both the x and the negative 2 on the outside. put it under the 2x minus 4. So 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. We subtract these, or again, distribute the negative, add the opposites. 2x are opposite, they cancel. The negative 4 and the positive 4 are opposites, they cancel. So you have a remainder of 0. So your answer for this one is just the 6x squared minus 7x plus 2. For our next example, you have 3x squared plus 3x cubed plus 19x squared plus 30x plus 8 divided by x plus 2. So we're going to put that x plus 2 on the outside. The 3x cubed plus 19x squared plus 30x plus 8 has all of its powers represented, so we're just going to put that underneath. Start by asking yourself, x times what is 3x cubed? That's 3x squared. So 3x squared times x is 3x cubed. 3x squared times 2 is 6x squared. Subtract these. Distribute that negative. Add your opposites. The 3x cubes are opposite, so they cancel. 19x minus 6x gives us 13x squared. 19x squared minus 6x squared. It's 13x squared. From here, we are going to drop down that 30x, so that way we have two terms to work with. Ask yourself, x times what is 13x squared? That is 13x. So 13x times x is 13x squared. 13x times 2, 26x. Subtract these. Distribute your negative and add your opposites. 13x squared minus 13x squared cancels. 30x minus 26x is 4x. We need two terms to work with. We drop down that 8. And we're going to multiply that x on the outside by 4 to give us 4x. So that 4 goes up top. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 2 is 8. Subtract these. Distribute your negative. Add your opposites. 4x is cancel. 8 cancels. You're left with 0. So the only part that's your answer is this top part here, which is 3x squared plus 13x plus 4. For example B, you have 2x to the 4th power minus 12x cubed plus 13x squared minus 18x plus 15 divided by x minus 1. That x minus 1 is going to go on the outside. Your powers are 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All of them are represented, so that polynomial is going to go on the inside. So again, we're going to do x minus 1 on the outside. 2x to the 4th power minus 12x cubed plus 13x squared minus 18x plus 15 on the inside. From here, x times what is 2x to the 4th power? That's 2x cubed. So we multiply everything on the outside by that 2x cubed, and it gives us 2x to the 4th power minus 2x cubed. Subtract these. Distribute your negative. Add your opposites. Your 2x to the 4th powers cancel out. Negative 12x cubed plus 2x cubed is negative 10x cubed. We drop down our next term, which is that 13x squared, and we ask ourselves, x times what is negative 10x cubed? That's negative 10x squared. So we multiply that by the x minus 1. We get negative 10x cubed plus 10x squared. Subtract these. Distribute your negative, change your signs, add the opposites. Your 10x cubes cancel. The 13x squared minus 10x squared gives us 3x squared. We need two terms to work with, so we drop down that negative 18x. And we ask ourselves, x times what is 3x squared? That's positive 3x. So we multiply that 3x by x minus 1. We get 3x squared minus 3x. Subtract these, or distribute your negative, add your opposites. 3x squareds cancel. Negative 18x plus 3x is negative 15x. We drop down that 15 to have two terms to work with. We ask ourselves, x times what is negative 15x? That's negative 15. So we multiply, we get negative 15x plus 15x, or 15. Subtract these. Add your opposites. When you distribute your negative, 15x cancels, 15 cancels, you have a remainder of 0. So the only part that is your answer on this one is the 2x cubed minus 10x squared plus 3x minus 15. For our next example, C, we have x to the fourth power minus 47x squared minus 54x plus 280 divided by x plus 4. Now with this one, you have x to the fourth power. You do not have x to the third power. So we're going to add in a 0, x to the third power, in order to give us every power from greatest to least. So this is just going to turn into x to the fourth power plus 0, x cubed minus 47x squared minus 54x plus 280 divided by x plus 4. So again, anytime you're missing that power, you're just going to plug in a 0x to that power. So when you go to write this, that x plus 4 is going to go on the outside. On the inside, you're going to have x to the fourth power plus 0x cubed minus 47x squared minus 54x plus 280. Ask yourself, x times what is x to the fourth? That's x cubed. So x cubed times x is x to the fourth power. X times 4, or x cubed times 4 is 4x cubed. We subtract these. Distribute that negative. Add your opposites. Your x to the fourth powers cancel. 0x cubed minus 4x cubed is negative 4x cubed. We drop down that next term, which is negative 47x squared. From here, x times what is negative 4x cubed? That's negative 4x squared. The negative 4x squared times x is negative 4x cubed. Negative 4x squared times positive 4 is negative 16x squared. We subtract these, or distribute the negative, add the opposites. Your 4x cubes cancel. You have negative 47x squared plus 16x squared. We're going to subtract these, keep the sign in front of the bigger number. So it's going to be negative. 7 minus 6 is 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. That x squared stays on it. So we have negative 31x squared. We're going to bring our negative 54x down. So that way we have two terms to work with. X times what is negative 31x squared? That's negative 31x. So we multiply that by the x plus 4. We're going to get negative 31x squared. The negative 31 times a positive 4 is a negative. 1 times 4 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. We keep the x on it. From here, we're subtracting. So distribute that negative, add your opposites. 31x squared cancel. You have a negative 54x and a positive 124x. Again, we're going to keep the sign in front of the bigger number, which is positive, and subtract the 2. 4 minus 4 is 0. Keep your x. 2 minus 5 you can't do, so that would turn into 12 minus 5, which is 7. From here, we bring down that 280 and ask ourselves, x times what is 70x? That would be 70. So that's going to give us 70x, and 7 times 4 is 28. Add your 0 on it to give you that 70 times 4. And you're doing the subtraction of this. So distribute that sign. your 70x squared, or sorry, 70x's cancel, your 280's cancel, so you have a remainder of 0. So your answer is just x cubed minus 4x squared minus 31x plus 70. For example D, we have x to the 5th power minus 4x to the 4th power minus 69x cubed plus 216x squared divided by x plus 8. You are missing the x, you are missing your constant, so you're going to add in a 0, x, and a 0. Because again, you need every power from highest to lowest, and your highest power is 5, so you need the 4th power, the 3rd power, the 2nd power, the 1st power, and the power of 0. So this is going to get rewritten as x plus 8 divided, or on the outside. On the inside, you're going to have x to the 5th power minus 4x to the 4th power minus 69x cubed plus 216x squared plus 0x plus 0. So we ask ourselves, x times what is x to the 5th power? That's x to the 4th power. So that's going to give us x to the 5th power plus 8x to the 4th power. Subtract these, distribute your negative. X to the 5th power cancel. We have negative 12 x to the 4th power left over. We drop down that negative 69x cubed. Then we ask ourselves, x times what is negative 12x to the 4th power? That's negative 12x cubed. So it's going to give us negative 12x to the 4th power minus 96x cubed. Subtract these, distribute your power, change your sign on everything, or sorry, distribute your sign, change the sign on everything. Your 12x to the 4th powers cancel. You have 96x cubed minus 69x cubed. So that's 6 is going to turn into 16, 9 is going to turn into 8. That gives us 27x cubed. From here, we're bringing down that 216x squared. And we're asking ourselves, x times what is 27x cubed? That's going to be 27x squared. So we multiply, we get 27x cubed. It's going to be a positive. Your 8 times 7 is 56. Your 8 times 2 is 16, plus 5 is 21. So then you subtract these. Distribute your sign. These both cancel to give you 0. So then even though you have that 0x and that 0, it doesn't matter because it's just going to be 0 plus 0. So then your answer for this one is just x to the 4th power minus 12x cubed plus 27x squared. With this one, you don't have to put the 0x plus 0 because it is the last terms, and you're left with a remainder of 0. If you were left with a remainder, so let's say it was like 2x squared that you were left over with, you would have to keep going with it. So the next question that we're going to look at, we have 15x cubed plus 37x squared plus 53x plus 55 divided by 3x plus 5. Your powers are 3, 2, 1, and 0, so all of those are represented. The 3x plus 5 is going to go on the outside. Everything else goes on the inside. So this is going to give you 3x plus 5 on the outside, 15x cubed plus 37x squared plus 53x plus 55. So this one's a little different than the ones that we've done so far because you have a term in front of that x on the outside. That term in front of x is 3. So you have to ask yourself, 3x times what is 15x cubed? So you're doing the same steps, you just now have the coefficient of x on the outside. So 3x times 5x squared gives us the 15x cubed. So we multiply that 5x squared by the 3x and the 5, just like we did with the questions before this. So the 5x squared times 3x is 15x cubed. 5x squared times 5 is 25x squared. Again, next step is to subtract, distribute your sign, and add the opposites. So 15x cubed minus 15x cubed cancels. 37x squared minus 25x squared. You're going to keep the x squared. 7 minus 5 is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. You have 12x squared. You need two terms to work with, so bring down the next term, which is the 53x. From here, ask yourself 3x on the outside times what is the 12x squared on the inside. That's going to give us 4x. So we multiply the 4x by the 3x plus 5. That gives us 12x squared plus 20x. If we subtract those, distribute that sign, add the opposites. 12x squared cancels. 53x minus 20x gives us 33x. We bring down that next term, which is 55. From here, we ask ourselves 3x times what is 33x? That's just 11. So 11 times 3x is 33x. The 11 times 5 is 55. We subtract these or add your opposites. These cancel, and you're left with 0. I'm actually on it now, recording.
Oh, great. Hi, everyone. Okay.
Yeah, so this one doesn't have a remainder either. It's just that 5x squared plus 4x plus 11. With these ones, since I've done with you today, I know that they don't have remainders, but if they do have a remainder, you're going to just add it onto your answer. So, like, let's say this one had a remainder of 2. You would have the 5x squared plus 4x plus 11 plus 2, and that 2 is going to go over what you divided by. So you divided by the 3x plus 5, so it would be plus 2 over 3x plus 5. In a fraction. Your synthetic division is a little bit different than your long division. With these, you can only use an x plus or minus a number that you're dividing by. What you're going to do is take that binomial, set it equal to 0, and solve for x. So you're just either adding your constant over or subtracting your constant over to get what x is equal to. That number is going to go on the outside. The numbers that are going to go on the inside are the coefficients and the constant. So this one, you're still doing the same thing that you did with the long division, to where you need to make sure every power is represented. You're just going to pull out those coefficients and that constant put on the inside. It's going to be a lot easier if you actually watch me do an example, but you're dropping down the first term, multiplying that with the number on the outside, putting it underneath the number to the right of the one that you dropped down, then adding whatever you get from that. You multiply by the number on the outside, put that answer by underneath the next number to the right, add those, keep going until you're done. If you have, or like if you look at this like table that's here for you, or this box, your answer comes from the numbers that you get underneath that like line that you have there. Those answers will go, or you'll start from the right and move to the left. You'll go remainder, constant, x, x squared, x cubed, x to the 4th power, and so on. Okay, if you have a remainder, again, that remainder is going to be added to the part that's your answer, and it goes over the binomial that you divided by. So if we look at some examples, you have x to the 4th power minus 10x squared minus 2x plus 4. You're dividing by x plus 3. So first thing that we got to do, take the x plus 3, set it equal to 0, and solve for x. Move the 3 over. By subtracting it, you get that x is equal to negative 3. So that's the number that's going to go on the outside. I do my box a little bit differently. I put the 3 in a box kind of thing, or like a other way L, to separate it from my coefficients and my constant. The expression it gives us is x to the 4th power minus 10x squared minus 2x plus 4. It's missing the x cubed, so you want to add in a 0x cubed to that to make it x to the 4th power plus 0x cubed minus 10x squared minus 2x plus 4. Pull out your coefficients and your constant from this expression. The x to the 4th, that's a 1. The 0x cubed, that's 0. The negative 10x squared, that's negative 10. The negative 2x, that's negative 2. And the 4 is just 4. So on the right side of where that -3 is, you're going to put 1, 0, -10, -2, and 4. Under that, give yourself a little space and draw a line underneath. Now you can start. So you're going to pull the first term down, which is the 1. Pull that first term down, you have 1. 1 times -3, the number on the outside, is -3. You put that underneath the 0, and you combine that -3 with the 0, so add them. 0 minus 3 is -3. From here, you're going to multiply your -3 with the -3 on the outside. -3 times -3 is positive 9. Add the -10 with the 9. That gives you -1. -1 times -3 is a positive 3. Put that underneath the -2 and add it with that. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 times -3 on the outside is -3. Put that underneath the 4 and add those. 4 minus 3 is 1. So starting from the right, that 1 is your remainder. The 1 to the left of that is your constant. To the left of that, that -1 is going to get an x. That -3 to the left of that is going to get x squared. And the one that's to the far left gets an x cubed. So your answer for this one is x cubed minus 3x squared minus 1x, or just minus x, plus 1, plus your remainder, which is 1 over what you divided by. That binomial is x plus 3. If we look at some extra examples, for A, you have x cubed minus 2x squared minus 11x plus 12 divided by x minus 1. Your x minus 1, you're going to set it equal to 0 and solve, and you're going to move the 1 over by adding it to both sides, so you get that x is equal to 1. For the x cubed minus 2x squared minus 11x plus 12, all of your powers are represented from 3, 2, 1, and 0. So your coefficients and constant are 1, -2, -11, and 12. So that 1 that you solved for x in the beginning is going to go on the outside. On the inside, you're going to have 1, -2, -11, positive 12. Draw your line underneath those and pull your first term down, which is the 1. From here, multiply your 1 that you pulled down with the 1 on the outside. 1 times 1 is 1. Put it underneath the -2, add them. -2 plus 1 is -1. Multiply the -1 with the 1 on the outside. That's -1. Put that underneath the -11 and combine those. You get -12. -12 times the 1 on the outside is -12. Put that underneath your 12. Combine those, you get 0. So that 0 is your remainder. The -12 is your constant. The -1 is going to get an x. The positive 1 gets an x squared. So your answer for this one is just x squared minus x minus 12 plus 0 over x minus 1, which is just the x squared minus x minus 12. For example B, we have x cubed plus 18x squared plus 95x plus 196 divided by x plus 7. So we set that equal to 0 and solve. We get that x is equal to -7. Your coefficients and constants are 1, 18, 95, and 126, because all of your terms or all of your powers are represented. So -7 is going to go on the outside. On the inside, you're going to have 1, 18, 95, 126. Pull down that 1. 1 times -7 is -7. Combine those. 18 minus 7 is 11. From here, 11 times -7 is -77. Combine that with the 95. Your 5 turns into 15, making your 9 and 8. So 15 minus 7 is 8. 8 minus 7 is 1. Next, you have 18 times -7. It's going to be a negative. The 8 times 7 is 56. 1 times 7 is 7, times 5, or plus 5 is 12. So that's -126. Combine that with the positive 126, and you have 0 left over. So your remainder is 0, your constant is 18, 11 is your x, 1 gets the x squared. So that's x squared plus 11x plus 18. For example C, we have 8x cubed plus 66x squared plus 67x minus 21 divided by x plus 7. So with this one, again, we solve for x in the x plus 7. We get that x is equal to negative 7. Our coefficients and constants, we have all of our terms. So we have 8, 66, 67, and negative 21. So on the outside, we're going to have negative 7. On the inside, we're going to have 8, then 66, 67, and negative 21. 8 drops down. 8 times 7 is negative 56. We add that with the 66, we get 10. 10 times negative 7 is negative 70. We add that with the 67, we get negative 3. Negative 3 times positive, or negative 7 is a positive 21. Add that with the 21, we get 0. So 0 is your remainder, negative 3 is your constant, 10 gets your x, 8 gets your x squared. So this is just 8x squared plus 10x minus 3. For your last example, D, you have x to the 4th power minus 4x cubed minus 19x squared plus 46x plus 22, all divided by x minus 4. You said that x minus 4 equals 0 and solve. You get that x is equal to positive 4. Your 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, all your powers are there. So pull out your coefficients and your constants. You have 1, negative 4, negative 19, 46, and 22. So on the outside, you're going to put the 4. On the inside, you have 1, negative 4, negative 19, 46, and 22. Your 1 drops down. 1 times 4 is 4. Add that with the negative 4. That gives you 0. 0 times 4 is 0. Add that with the 19, or the negative 19. That gives you negative 19. Your negative 19 times 4, you have 9 times 4, which is 36. Then 1 times 4 plus 3 is 7. It's going to be negative. From here, you subtract those, you get negative 30. Negative 30 times 4 is negative 120. So you're going to subtract that with the positive 22. Your 0 turns into 10. 2 turns into 11, making the 1 a 0. So 10 minus 2 is 8. 11 minus 2 is 9. You keep it negative. So with this, you do have a remainder. Your remainder on this one is negative 98. Then you have a constant of negative 30, an x value of negative 19, an x squared with 0, and that 1 is going to get an x cubed. So your answer for this, you're going to have x cubed plus 0x squared minus 19x minus 30 plus negative 98 over what you divided by. You divided by x minus 4, not just the 4, x minus 4. You do not need that 0x squared, so you can rewrite this as x cubed minus 19x minus 30 plus negative 98 over x minus 4. You could also just do minus 98 over x minus 4. That's fine. You don't need the plus sign in it if you're going to pull that negative out of the 98 and put it in front of that fraction. But you can leave it like this where it's plus and then the negative up top.